All right, today we are cracking the code on what is, let's be honest, one of the toughest admission processes out there, IIM Ahmedabad. We're going to break down every single formula, every filter, so you know exactly what it takes to get one of those coveted seats.
So how does a place like IIM A actually sift through, hundreds of thousands of applicants to find its next class of leaders? Well, it is definitely not just about one exam score. It's this multi-stage, really data-driven process, and it's all designed to build a very specific kind of cohort. Okay, let's dive right in.
So before we even get to the really complex formulas and the scoring, let's talk about the first gate. This is the one every single applicant has to pass through, no exceptions. These are the absolute baseline requirements.
First up, the absolute basics. You've got to have a bachelor's degree. Minimum 3 years. You need at least 50% marks or 45% if you fall into a reserved category. And good news, if you're in your final year, you can still apply. Think of this as just getting your ticket to enter the race.
Okay, with those basics covered, you immediately hit the first major filter, the Common Admissions Test, or CAT. This is really where the first big screening happens, and it's all about meeting those minimums.
Now, here's what's so important to understand. It is not just about your overall score. To stay in the game, you have to clear the minimum percentile in each individual section. That's verbal, DIILR, and quant, and the overall cutoff for your category. So if you stumble in just one section, you're out. It's that tough.
So once you've cleared those CAT cutoffs, the evaluation gets a lot more personal. IIM A starts to look beyond just the test score to build a complete picture of who you are. And they do this with a very specific formula, the Application Rating Score, or AR score.
The AR score is basically a number that represents your entire profile. IIM A has created this formula to systematically grade your past performance. They assign points for your academics, your work experience, and even a factor for diversity. Let's see how it all adds up.
So these are the 5 building blocks of your profile score. You can see it's really a journey, right? It starts all the way back with your high school performance, moves through your degree, your work experience, and then, it even includes a factor for diversity. Let's look at how they rate each one.
Okay, first piece of the puzzle, your 10th grade performance. It's pretty straightforward. If you scored above 90%, you get the maximum 10 points. It's a simple conversion of your marks into a standardized rating.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because it shows IIM A's philosophy. For your 12th grade marks, the goalposts actually change based on your academic stream. You see that? To get a top rating of 10, an art student needs an 85%, but a science or commerce student needs a 90. This is IIM A's way of trying to level the playing field across different disciplines.
And that same logic applies to your bachelor's degree. The Institute has 5 different academic categories. They call them ACs. It goes from medicine to engineering all the way to humanities. So the percentage you need for a high score in rating C is adjusted based on what the typical scoring is like in each field.
Now for work experience, you don't get any points until you've worked for at least 12 months. After that, the points go up proportionally until you hit 36 months, 3 years, where it maxes out at a score of 5. So this tells us that IIM A definitely values experience, but there's a clear sweet spot right between 1 and 3 years.
The final piece of your profile score is rating E, the gender diversity factor. And that's where this number, 3, comes in. It's simple. All non-male candidates get a fixed value of 3 points. It's a direct initiative to encourage a more balanced gender ratio in the classroom.
Okay, so you've cleared the CAT cutoffs, you've calculated your application rating score. Now what? The next step is to combine them to decide who gets that all-important interview call. And this is where something called the Composite Score comes into play.
So, the crucial point is right here in this formula. To get shortlisted for an interview, your CAT score gets a massive 65% weightage. Your entire profile, that whole AR score we just talked about, accounts for the other 35%. It's pretty clear. A strong CAT score is absolutely the dominant factor at this stage of the game.
Now, to make sure they get a diverse classroom, IIM A doesn't just pick the top scores from one big list. It's a 2-stage process. In Stage 1, they take the top 5% of applicants from each academic discipline. So the top engineers, the top commerce grads, the top arts majors. This guarantees that amazing candidates from all backgrounds get a real shot. Then, the rest of the interview spots are filled in Stage 2 from the general pool.
And just when you thought you were done with the filters, surprise, there's one more. You also have to clear a minimum average percentage across your 10th and 12th grade exams. And notice, again, how that cutoff changes depending on your stream.
It just reinforces how much they value consistent academic performance over time.
So, you made it. You got through all the filters, you nailed the interview. Now what? It's time for the final verdict. How does IIM Ahmedabad decide who actually gets an offer? Well, it all comes down to one last formula, the final composite score.
This final composite score, or FCS, basically recalculates your entire standing. It brings your CAT score and your AR score back into the picture. But now it combines them with your performance in the two most crucial stages, the analytical writing test, or AWT, and of course, the personal interview.
And this is the big reveal. Just look at these weightages. Your personal interview performance now accounts for a staggering 50%, half of your final score. Your powerful CAT score, its influence drops all the way down to just 25%. Your entire profile is now worth 15%. This is a massive, massive shift from the interview shortlisting stage.
Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. Half of your entire application's worth comes down to how you perform in that 20 or 30-minute conversation. All your scores, they get you in the door, but the interview is what gets you the seat, period.
So, after breaking down all those numbers, all those formulas, what have we actually learned? What does this incredibly detailed process really tell us about the kind of students IIM Ahmedabad is trying to find?
Okay, here are the crucial takeaways for you. 1. Consistent academic excellence is just non-negotiable. 2. A great CAT score is what gets you in the room, but it is not the whole story. 3. Your profile always matters, carrying a solid 15% weight right to the very end. But 4, and this is the big one, the personal interview is where you win or lose your seat. And finally, this whole system is engineered from the ground up to build a diverse class.
So as we wrap this up, here's a final thought for you. This entire admission process is so much more than just a series of filters. It's an algorithm. It's an algorithm designed by one of the best institutions in the world to identify future leaders. So the real question to think about is, beyond all the numbers, what are the underlying qualities? Things like consistency, adaptability, and your ability to communicate that this algorithm is truly designed to find.